Lantern here again, bringing you more zoo matchups with the Naya White Splash to Gruul flavored zoo. And the matchup we're going to watch in a second is Storm. Ended up pretty well for me. Storm, I think, is a clunky deck nowadays, especially since they don't really have consistency with Seething Song banned. I'm not in favor of that ban. I think that ban was stupid and killed a deck that didn't need to die. And if that deck was a little bit more powerful, it would justify me running Thalia on my main board. Probably over, I don't know, either a Boros Charm or a Fallout, something like that. Maybe even a Kitchen Finks. Anywho, yeah, nothing changed in the main board, so just talk about these this Storm matchup. Against Storm, it's weird. Like against combo decks in general, you hope you find your Silver Bullet. If you don't find your Silver Bullet, your backup plan is simply to race. In game 1, I win. Game 2, I do not win. But I could have won if I played a little bit differently, and I was considering playing my last play a little bit differently. And if I went with my brain on the last one, I could have probably won. But we'll see when we get there. Storm is an interesting matchup. You gotta play around certain things, especially when you got your bullet cards in hand. If you don't, you just gotta be as fast as humanly possible. Storm is not a turn 4 deck anymore. Finkel, who loves Storm, has revitalized it. But it's also now no longer just, oops, I just won because I drew the correct cards. It's very much now leaning on 3 different things that are like patches that were made. And that is Goblin Electromancer, Pyromancer's Ascension, and Storm. What do you call it? Past in Flames. So generally, that's sort of the patches that were made to this deck to deal with the fact that it's not just the combo like draw, ritual, draw, ritual, I win. Now it's very much more a band-aid, limping with my draws and my rituals, and goblins. Now you have a turn, and if you pass it back to me, I win. So very much leans on it. Again, one of the cool things about running more burn in your Gruul flavored zoo deck is the fact that you can hit these Goblin Electromancers. They are hoping those things do not die. If they die, it's very shitty for them. Making all their spells, cost the correct amount of mana, and they again need the cost reduction because they really need to rely on hoping to get by the rituals. So here's my goal. My goal is just I know he's got a sleight of hand out, so he's a combo deck of some sort, twin, escape shift, something. So the goal here is to rush out there with Experiment 1. He's got no way to kill it, so that's fine. There comes out the Goblin Electromancer. Now I take a risk here. I'm going to let him go off with a few cards. I know he can't win this turn that I pass, but I'd rather pump my Experiment 1 and then have the Pillar Flames ready for turn 3 than just Pillar Flames it, or whatever, Pillar Flames it and then swing for 1. I'd rather have my Tarmogoyf out and doing a little bit more pressure than just that. I know he won't block. I mean, if he wants to trade like that, I'm fine with that. I mean, my card much less valuable than his card in his deck. I like to keep the Lightning Helix under wraps. My time in Legacy has taught me that combo decks view their life total as just a buffer to what could be coming up. Like it's just a buffer to how long can they stay alive prior to just killing you. So I like to keep my lightning helix as a secret and not blow it right away, because sometimes they storm for the correct amount just barely, and then they're out of the things that they need to do, and then you're like, yep, and I gain 3 life, which brings me to 2 life, and now good luck winning the game. So it's something to keep in mind with your lightning helix, that you want to leave it as a surprise if you can help it. I understand the lightning helix here would kill the Goblin Electromancer and allow me to swing for more and drop the Tarmogoyf for more. But as far as I'm concerned, Tarmogoyf's already a 3/4, so if I drop the next one next turn, I still can Pillar of Flames the Goblin Electromancer and not really worry too much, because, well, you know, it's like this guy's gonna buff him anyways, and I can go ahead and deal with 3 damage without the extra gravy of doing 2 extra damage a turn. It's more important to get this buffed once more next turn, as well as getting this guy out of here. It doesn't matter if it's in the graveyard or not. What it does matter is it's gone. And it's just using my mana more concisely. He's got a Pyromancer's Ascension, and I did see the Pyromancer's Ascension game 1, which is why I side in Qasali Pride Mage. Because I want to be able to hit that. Now I think his deck relies on, you know, when you've got basically 12 different patch cards, you use certain amounts. And I think this deck relies more on Goblin Electromancer and a little bit less on Pyromancer's Ascension, and then maybe as a 1 of or 2 of what do you call it, the Passman Flames. That's fine. So we're going to be swinging for a good chunk of change here. And then we're going to Pillar of Flames that guy so that he cannot cast things like Desperate Ritual and make it into, you know, like a Dark Ritual. We'd rather it be desperate, not dark. It also takes out some of the stuff in his graveyard. Does not allow him to cast this next turn, and does not allow him to cast these for cheaper, these Desperate Ravings. Desperate Raving's a good source of card advantage. Digs pretty deep, throws things in the graveyard, and you're generally going to recycle it anyways because you've got Passman Flames. So what happens here is I've got the win on the board. 3, 3, and 3 will be enough. I'm going to Lightning Helix this thing out of the way regardless. So we'll be actually dealing 3, 4, and 4. And these 2 would be enough to kill that, let alone that. So even if I were to like Lightning Helix the face and somehow he fogged that damage, he would not be able to survive after blocking a single one of them. So yeah, I mean, we put him on his heels and it took the game down. Just fast forward. So yeah, again, I'm just going to Lightning Helix it, and that's going to be it. Moving to the next game. This one's a bit longer, because he basically storms twice. These guys aren't necessarily dead after they storm. A smart player can pull back his storm and realize it's not going to win him the game, and then win himself the game. Cool thing is that when you're storming and you're putting things in the graveyard, as long as you got a Passman Flames there, you can attempt to storm again. It could be a second go at it, but you've got to make sure that you put the correct cards into the graveyard to be cast. I took a risky keep. I took a 1-land hand, which generally you don't want to do, especially since my mana curve is a little higher and it's basically 2 converted mana cost. and I keep it mostly Qasali Pride Mage. Now there's two different real versions of Storm. There's the Pyromancer's Ascension version of Storm, and then there's sort of the Goblin Electromancer versions of Storms. And while they play with each other, one has more of a focus than the other one does. This one's apparently more focused on the Goblin Electromancer. But I'm thinking, so long as I get myself a card, I will be able to, I get myself a land, I'll be able to fight back, because I got a good amount of 2 converted mana cost spells. But more importantly, you know, like I can put this Qasali Pride Mage out and pop his thing, not let him combo off with it. I got a Bolt for the Electromancer, and I got another Curd Ape to back me up if this one dies. So I think, you know, all in all, even if I'm at 1 mana, you know, I've got ways to answer this guy's resources. So long as I draw the second mana within the next, you know, like turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, I should be able to be fine, because I'm still applying pressure with a Curd Ape regardless. He finds the mana he needs, though, during the time that I don't find mana, and it allows him to sort of combo off with less things to deal with. So we double monkey business here. He peers through depths. I don't know what he's peering. Wish that was something Cockatrice showed you, but it did not. He finds himself a lightning bolt. In the end, I guess he didn't have any real good things with that, and he wanted to half my aggression here, being that 4 damage a turn. I mean, that's what a 4 brings me down to 10. 3 turn clock. Whereas he does this, it's a 7 turn clock, which is much better for him. 7 turn clocks are better to play against versus, you know, 3 turn clocks. So he goes into Bolt's untapped Ape. Not that it really makes a difference. It's not like he has a hasty stuff. Like I said, he's finding the mana that he needs here. And 4 mana is really where you need to be if you don't have any sort of like enablers. So it's helping him out. He needs an extra draw or 2. Plus he can cast this at instant speed. No big deal. I don't draw my mana here. Now if I had my mana turn earlier, I probably could have ended the game. Again, 1 land keeps are not the worst with Gruul Zoo. They're not the best either by a long shot. I mean, you are halving the aggression you could be doing. That is something that the red-green only Gruul Zoo does better than me. They can cast more creatures with their 1 lands than I can. My deck has more 2 drops than 1 drops. I could fix that, but I kind of like the 2 drop thing, especially with the Flint Hoofbore. It might matter more in Legacy, because in Legacy, well, things like to get pathed and Swords to Plowshared a lot. Something that doesn't necessarily happen nearly as much in Modern. And if you were to you know, path here, you know, that's great for me. You know. It really is something to be said that the 1 drops seem to rule Legacy and the 2 drops seem to rule Modern. Something to be noted. While we're on the topic of 2 drops, and we're just going to watch this guy combo for a while, and I sort of go to sleep when these guys combo, it's important to pay attention to the fact to see if they have the correct mana that they're doing. And I don't know if he did or not. I don't really care. But while we're on the topic of 2 drops, let's talk about how I'm sad there's still no red 2 drop. It's like my Naya Zoo really wants some of these killer 2 drops, and I got the Tarmogoyf, but the Stoneforge Mystic is banned. And the red 2-drop doesn't exist yet. We missed an opportunity, guys. Make your own card. We could have made the broken 2-drop, but nope, didn't happen. There's rumors that young Pyromancer, young Fitzgerald, is the broken 2-drop we've all been waiting for. But I'm not sure if it is. Definitely doesn't fit our zoo game plan. We need to be mostly burned to do that, to really abuse it. We need to be something like Tempo to abuse it, or Control to abuse it, or we would need to be some other decks. Storm could abuse it, for example. It's not a bad idea. But so it fits in a lot of decks, but does not fit in our version of red deck wins, which is Zoo. Could it be good? Yes, it could be good, but it's not going to work for us. What we can look forward to is things like Scavenging Ooze is a good one, but that's so far out of the spoilers that I've really been interested in. No real new burn spell, no Chain Lightning reprint. I hear the... Oh, we finally get ourselves a land. Look at that. Oh. Now, I have a choice here, and I choose to be dumb. I choose to be dumb and not... And put the mana down for the Tarmogoyf instead of the Lightning Helix. I think that, alright, well, this guy's got no way to win. There's no way he can win here. But he does have the mana to use a non-flashback's Past in Flames. Actually, thinking about it, Past in Flames, something important to remember, Past in Flames only affects what's in the graveyard currently. I think he actually does not do that. But I have to be sure here. He may actually do that fine. But it only, when someone Past in Flames, just remember that it's only affecting what's in the graveyard. At that point. That's why Past in Flames has a flashback cost. It's because if more stuff enters the graveyard, you need to Past in Flames again in order to give the stuff that does not have that to win. Now here's the deal. I could have kept that Lightning Helix mana open and killed him here because of that. But I did not. And the reason I did not was because I figured, well, he was at 6 life, this would have killed him there. All in all, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad play. It was just I didn't have the understanding that he had Past in Flames. Let's go ahead and watch this game. I'm going to watch a little closely here to make sure that when he Past in Flames, he time-stamped what was in the graveyard, which is over here, rather than putting something in there and casting it again. Because if he managed to storm me even for 1 less, he wouldn't have been able to win. So let's watch. He Past in Flames, which means all the stuff here now, he's got access to flashback. And the only card in his hand is a Grape Shot that he cannot flash back. So we'll see. He's got the mana. He's got himself, what, 3 mana currently? So this was taken out of his graveyard, could be flashbacked. Taken out of his graveyard, could be flashbacked, now he's at 6 mana. Well, 7 mana, technically. I don't know. I don't like this play. He could have just passed an Infernal Titan, and that could have been it. Remember when Titans dominated Standard? How they really don't do anything in Modern. All those things casted from the graveyard are allowed to be cast. Pyromancer's Ascension ain't gonna help him at this point. Past in Flames ain't gonna help him at this point. I guess it does to an extent. Serum Visions. If he casts this, it cannot be recast. Important to remember. Especially when this guy is flying by the seat of his pants. He's living from top deck to top deck. Nah, he's got this. Because of the lightning bolt, Yeah, he's got that. Alright, so he didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't really pay attention too much. During the actual game, because I go to sleep when combo players. Combo off. Don't do that in a real tournament. Don't be like Brian Kibler and be an asshole and F3 real life. I understand he's an aggro player and does not like combo, and that deck was really boring to play against. But don't do it. So I end up keeping this hand. For better or worse, I end up keeping it because it's got 2 bolts and a Fairy Macabra, so at least I can hold them off for a little bit as I need to get the next land. But I don't have starting aggression, which is annoying. But I've got a Flint Hoof Boar if I get an extra land. And I'm feeling pretty good about my chances of getting land here. And boop, there I got it. This deck doesn't need any more than 2 lands ever, so I don't really care if I draw any more lands. But notice I did not crack my my Arid Misa right away. That was very purposeful. I did not want to thin my deck out even by a slight percent. I know deck thinning is not necessarily a perfect science. It's like less than a couple percent. But I'd rather have that couple percent to get the 2 converted mana cost, which I did. So for better or worse, thinning your deck is not necessarily a bad idea, or is not necessarily a great idea when you're trying to get to your next mana. And I end up cutting it like this because I'd rather not help him storm me down and give him less spells that he needs to cast. Every single one of his spells is a battle for him to get to. So he has the ability to bolt my Flint Hoof Boar here. He doesn't end up doing it. I think he's just trying to end up combo winning. And he has a little bit of time. And as we saw last time, that bolt was very important. And again, sometimes you want to bolt main phase, man. While I'm tapped out. Letting me null one of your cards and hit you for more damage, not good for you. That's why Gorklan Rampager is pretty good. But there's a lot of cards that can deal with Gorklan. Path or a Bounce spell deals with it, makes me feel really sad about my life. So Gorklan is good, especially since it's giving me emergency 4/4 trample if need be. But it's not amazing. Alright, so he's got an extra land here. Can Desperate Ritual. Can Goblin Electromancer. Goblin Electromancer is way more important. I draw another Rampager here. As always, you swing in case he's got some weird bounce, something to do with mana that I don't know. Takes the 3, that's fine. I choose to Lightning Helix this Goblin Electromancer. And the reason why is because I would rather have these bolts in hand, especially if I draw a red spell. It makes more sense to be able to do that. And use all my mana currently and bring myself back up to 19. Like I said, sometimes you want to hide the Lightning Helix, sometimes you want to play it. And this is one of those times where if I did a bolt instead, I would have had just 1 mana open. I don't know if next turn, if I get a land, if I can go ahead and I can Gorklan Rampager plus the bolt. So I think it's important to just sort of maximize my turn there. And he's realizing that he's probably got a turn, maybe 2 turns. That's it. So he's gonna have to attempt something soon. And he's got a bunch of ritual spells, so he's not far off. Now he does do something I dislike. And what he did that I dislike is he went for this thing first. What I would have done was I would have played this, made myself have red. I suppose actually you couldn't have done that. What you could have done was just Desperate Ritual here, or not Desperate Ritual here, Pyretic Ritual first. Get yourself 3 mana, with an extra untapped land, tap that land, and then Desperate Ritual, splice into the Desperate Ritual, and then Desperate Ritual again. Gets you more mana that way. He did not do that. Instead, he went for the draw to see if that could help him out. Really, he should have done that. It would have gave him more mana, maybe something to do if he drew something off of the Metamorphose. He could have Metamorphosed and gotten his extra draw anyways. Not a big deal, but he does stop himself from being able to do that. Storm players should remember that they've got Splice sometimes, and that's the reason why you play some of these arcane spells, is because Splice isn't amazing, but it's still an option, you know? Desperate Ritual still is what you would call strictly better than Pyretic Ritual. Does the same thing, but gives you an option to splice. And see, he wouldn't have had to pay life either for that if he did it the way I said to do it. But he draws a land. Land is bum. The best thing he can do now is... I mean, he can... I think I would have actually just held it at this point. Dealing 1 extra damage to me is not that big of a deal. Holding on to the ramp cards and upping your storm count for later is probably a bigger deal. So he's going to Grape Shot here, and it's going to put my boar to pasture. It's going to make bacon out of my boar, and do a couple damage to me. But he failed at it. He's down to 1 card in hand. That is not good for him. He would need to get past In Flames to really, really allow him another attempt at it. So that boar is made to bacon. Also, can I note that Grape Shot? I like the Grape Shot, and one of the reasons why I like Grape Shot isn't necessarily because what it does. I don't really care about Grape Shot's art or Grape Shot's ability. What I do care about is Grape Shot is not Fire Fling or like Thunderbolt, Thunder Blasting stuffs. Seems like if you're going to make a red burn spell, all you gotta do is use some combination of fire, flame, or lightning with like some form of weaponry, and that's what you do here. Anyways, so yeah, then at the end I've got like the double bolt for the wind. It really does not matter at that point. I'm like, well, there you go, you're dead. That was really all he could do. So that was that game. That was the more burn-intensive version of Zoo that I've been running. And that's how it's been faring. So, glad you guys, I hope you liked it. I'm continuing trying to get sort of every archetype in there. Still need to hit Jund, still need to hit Pod. Well, no, I think I actually have a Pod in there. I do have a Pod. I need to hit Melor Pod. Twin, random decks. Anywho, I hope that was helping you. Remember, Thalia is perfect in the sideboard matchup. But if you're staying strictly green and red, any form of surprise life gain is actually relevant. I don't know what else there is to really say. Volcanic Fallout, if you end up seeing it being the more Empty the Wardens version, Volcanic Fallout is hilarious to play against them. Or, you know, Pillar, or not Wood Pillar and Flame, or Pyroclasm. Other than that, the real way to win against Storm is to attack their band-aids, attack the Goblin Electromancer, attack the Pyromancer's Ascension, and attack the Graveyard. Those are the best ways to get rid of it. Anywho, thanks for liking.